Don here. Well, welcome to another live stream with me, Don. Okay, picking back up on the HP 7966 Pavilion 7966. It's a Pentium 4, and I figured that out. I thought it was a Celeron, just kind of figured it was, but it was a Pentium 4, 1.7 gigahertz, which is as one of those go, I mean, well, as anything goes, anything under anything below 2 gigahertz is kind of disappointing to me. I like the processor. The faster, the better. Get more. They can that little bit more makes quite a bit of difference. And I've used all different speeds. So up to I guess 2.5 gigahertz. I don't think I've had anything faster than that. But anyway. The HP had turned out the last live video on it. I diagnosed it, figured it out. It took me a long time. Actually, that video was 3 hours and 45 minutes or so. That's all pretty much. Yeah, that was real time, the whole thing. The video card seemed to be bad. Can't show myself because of the way I have my camera set up right now. But the video card looked like it was bad. Turned out I got to looking at it, and there was a header on it for plugging in. It looks just like an IDE header. I don't know. I didn't inspect it really close. I just wanted to make it work. I've seen them on audio cards, and with game ports on them and junk like that for extra IDE for another hard drive or CD or whatever. I didn't really remember seeing them on a video card, and maybe it's a way to link video cards, like back in that day to. Have dual video cards or something. I kind of got thinking about that. But anyway, and I didn't stick an IDE cable up it to see if it matched or anything, but it's about that. It looks like that. So anyway, did I say the pins were bent? I straightened them out. It still didn't boot until I took the card out. I straightened them out with it in the machine, and then I took the card out, put it back in, then it booted and worked fine. So it probably maybe shut itself down to protect itself, because they were shorted. And I'm sure those two pins, they were on the very end. I think, let's see. Yeah, pin 1 and 2 were bent, but I think it was pin 1 was shorted with the next one to it. They're like, it's hard to describe if I'm not showing it. But anyway, that's all good. And the crazy noise it was making wasn't normal. It just kept making like a high-pitched, a mid-range sound that was really irritating. I thought it was the fan. Matter of fact, I took the CPU. I had already blown it out real good outside a couple of weeks ago. But I took the CPU fan and the heatsink off. It was still filthy. It was just all kinds of nasty stuff trapped between the fan and somewhere in the heatsink. Between the heatsink and the contact for the... I guess it was between the fan and the heatsink, and I just couldn't see it. So, yeah, it was. I remember. And so, anyway, I took it out in the garage at night and blew it off and everything, and got that all cleaned up. And it still made the noise, Then finally I figured out, last but not least, that the hard drive was bad. It finally started making that knocking sound like an engine knocking that they do. And then I thought, okay, it's the hard drive, So, I had a couple old Pentium 3s. I got all these 4 computers, and the other one over yonder in the back corner, I haven't turned it on yet. I think it's a Gateway, and it's about the same age as this one. But there's 2 Pentium 3s out in the garage, and they between those two, they had 4 hard drives in them. One of them still has a bad one in it. I just left it in there because it wouldn't boot up at all. It wouldn't even try to boot to let you see the BIOS without it hooked up. And then I have 2 over here that I'm fixing to show, and one of them I'm going to put in the one of those. I got a Mac store. Let me just go ahead and start showing them. That's what this little camera is laying here for. Okay, I got this one here is what? It's a Seagate. They're both 40 gig, and I can't get any better picture than that with these cameras. They're only they're supposed to be 5 megapixel cameras in these phones, but they're only 1.7 in video, so that's all I got. So anyway, they don't make any bad noises or anything. I can't really read all that scribbling on them that somebody put on with a marker, but turn it long ways with the camera, even though it will be sideways. You can see most of the tag that way. But yeah, I got to look at it and see what the jumpers are, make sure they're right, because it wouldn't boot unless I unplugged one of them. It wouldn't even, if I remember right, I couldn't even get into BIOS with that until I unplugged one of them. Either one, it seemed like, if I remember right. I made a handheld and I was testing out, seeing if I could do. See, I'm doing IP webcam is the app I use in the phones here. This is getting heavy, and it's wirelessly, sending out a signal to my Wi-Fi network, and then I pick that up into OBS Studio. This is a whole lot lighter. Okay, so let's just look at this other one, and I'll go to picking out the pins in a little bit. WD-400, Western Digital, more scribbling. I hate when people do that. It makes it so almost really hard to read the factory writing that you want to see, like the mark. Some of them only have the, hurt my finger. Some of them only have writing right there. Oh, yeah, see, they're there, so I should be able to see that easy enough. That makes it so much easier. I know you can't read it, but you can see that there's words there by those pins. Well, that tells you what each one is. Let's see if I can. Well, let's just move this camera over here. I was just had it where it was just because I thought it would look better in the video than with my leg. But I don't think there's enough space there, though. There we go. Let's see. I was trying to actually do this on the video. If I can read it on my preview, then we can all read it. Whoa. See if turning on the light on this thing is any better. Yeah, that kind of helps with the reflections, I think. Yeah. Okay, so it's on cable select, which is actually good for the machine I'm going to put it in. I think that's what it was when I got it, and it looked like a factory machine. It didn't look like it had anything added or taken away. So cable select, slave, master. Yeah, okay. If I had a good memory, I could remember but even though they're the same brand, the age of them, they'll change. See, there's another one that's not marked, and then the other one that's probably it says Pt2, I think. But I'm not going to use it anyway. It might be the one that restricts it to, a whole bunch of them have a restrict them to 32 gigabytes back in that day, but which is, I think it was so that it would work in some BIOSes that wouldn't read anything bigger than that, but I never had anything that I had to do that on. But, so, I think they're both good. Cable select is actually what I'm going to want. Now, here's the sideways, but that's the Seagate. Now let's look at its deal is right here. I think we're going to have to turn it this way so we can look at the. This is looks small enough that I may have to look at it myself. See that magnifying glass? Yeah. Let's see. We'll do that one more time and if it shows up better than in the actual video, because this previous screen I'm looking at is not quite as big as the actual video, but it's hard to tell if I'm focusing it good or not. So let me get this, before I go to reading on that again, I think I'm done with my demo there with the, let's see, 1 and 2. 1, okay, that'll let me kind of hold it. I need to plug this camera into the power because they need to stay plugged in most of the time. For this IP webcam app will run them down, the battery's down. I don't really have that. I've got it different than I usually do, and it makes me have to fight the cable. In one way it's good, but in another way it's not so great. Since I have this camera over here to the right of me this time, it makes everything different. And I'm not going to try to put that up to the camera, I'm just going to look at it myself. Okay, yeah, this one has limit 32 gigabyte capacity. That's pins 1 and 2. That's their numbers. Oh, let's see if it has. Yeah, this Western Digital doesn't have any markings on it. Sometimes they have it on the plastic, and if you pay attention, you'll see it. But when it's on the circuit board, I usually always see it. But I have been fooled. Okay, now it's way over there. I always just count over from the power connector, I always forget the words right when I want to say the power connector. It's 1, 2, third one over, and the third one over is cable select. So by all rights it should have worked. I think that other machine that it was in, it kept saying warning when you try to boot it. JP Jumper, the one JP so and so was in the wrong place, jumper, and so a jumper on the motherboard. That's what it was talking about. So somebody must have moved that. Heck, it might have been me because I used to play with that machine a little bit before he gave it to me. But several years ago. But anyway, I had put Fedora 12 on one of these hard drives. I think it's on the Western Digital. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, and I think Windows XP is on this Seagate, but I don't believe either one of them would boot. I know Fedora. I got it to try to boot a couple of times out there in the garage. Not today, but the other day. And today I wouldn't try to boot either one of them, but it ran FSCK, I think. Fixed disk. It was Fixed Disk is the app, and it still couldn't fix it, and it wouldn't boot. And then Windows XP was just broke. I remember that. So all it did was just reboot instantly. But whichever one I put in here, if I leave it in here, I'm going to reformat it because neither one of the operating systems be of any use. So, I know XP wouldn't boot on another machine, and Fedora might, but it probably wouldn't run just right if it was in good shape. It doesn't even matter. I don't know why. I'm considering it. Let's see. Well, that's heavy. It's got rubber pads on it and everything. It actually would be kind of good. This would be a good one if you were going to use it for a portable hard drive. I have an adapter because you could use it just like that. Hold it up there. It's got rubber pads around here and then a cover. I mean, it wouldn't short out. Well, you could short it right there, but definitely a lot better than as far as I don't know. Just thinking, as that'd be a lot easier to short out. But anyway, boy, that one's 10 times lighter than that one. This other one, I don't know how they could get so much weight in just a little hard drive. I think there's lead under that rubber. Anyway, let me get over there to the machine. Covers, well, actually, I forgot to unscrew the cover. But, yeah, let's see. Go over there. Well, actually, let's go to my desktop and make sure that I am live and everything's good before. I already looked at it before I started, but I am recording on it. Yeah, okay. Oops. So I'm recording. The other day, I streamed that 3 hour and 45 minute, 3 hours and 45 minute stream was not there. It showed good. I kept checking it, and it showed good throughout the whole time. And then when I went to go rename it, from live stream to, what was going on and everything like that, that's what I always do. Couldn't be found. And for 2 days, it was gone. And I went ahead and uploaded the backup. I'll make a backup. See, health is good, 13 minutes. I have to always close this. I can't monitor the chat all the time because it will fill up my memory. For some reason, this YouTube admin page is really bad about that. If I let it, even if I stop the stream, don't let it play like that, it still does it. And once it gets up to about a little over a gig, it will pretty much put this machine to a halt when I'm trying to do a live stream. And also my backup, I have been forgetting lately, but I can look over here if I leave it right here in this Crusader page, and I can see the page app and see that the file's growing and everything's good with my backup. And I've used it twice since I've been doing these streams this year. I started using OBS probably 2 years ago, I guess, and I really liked it. But at first, I didn't have. All I had was dual cores, and they couldn't handle it. They couldn't do it and work on the machine. I mean, you could kind of do a stream, but so I'm going to go over there and put one in, and yeah, I can bring my mic over that way. I did that last time, and well, then I'll boot it up to Parted Magic, I think. I mean, I'll try it on the hard drive, but I know it won't work. But anyway. Oh, my keyboard tray was kind of locked out. Let's just shove it all the way in. All right, let me get over here. And I'm using my multimeter box as a mic, as an extra part of my mic stand. Get things in the right situation for me here. Okay, this case has got my little shoes under there. I'm gonna move them. I need my feet to go under. Let's see. I think I can go a little further. Yeah, that way I might actually be able to leave it there and work for the most part. Anyway, you can turn them by hand if they weren't kind of worn out like they are, hard to turn. But that's a pretty good one, though. That's one of the easier ones. Only trouble I had is I had to grab a screwdriver to open it up when it gets kind of really tightened up all the way. I don't know. It feels like maybe they've been cross-threaded before. Pretty hard to get them in there without messing things up. Let's see. Give me a screwdriver. My toolbox is under there. Okay, and I have some screws up there. I'll put the lighter one in there. Yeah, why not? Okay. And I guess I'll just put this one over here for now. Oh yeah, this is pretty cool. You know, all these big brand machines, they have all these different ways they do things. Oh, guess what? The drive is just about identical to the one in here that's broken. That's wild. Last time I had it laying on its side when I took this out. Let's see. Where's the... Oh, I left the power unplugged. So I'm just going to... Actually, I might be able to leave that in there, but just turned like that. Yeah. And stick that up in there just for now. Just to get it out of the way. Because I don't need to take the floppy out. Oh no, there's going to be all those screws. I've already had it out before, so let's see. There we go. It'll reach, still plugged in. Okay, now, yeah, because it's got, I love this little screwdriver. It's a ratchet screwdriver. Just right for this kind of stuff, because you don't need a drill. You don't want to be stripping things. But it's certainly handy. I've got some extra screws, well, the ones that were in it before, but that's fine. These here will do good. I think they match the machine. The heads are those kind where you actually could put you can put a nut driver on all of them, but you actually with these, I don't usually do that because it's really kind of too easy to over torque and strip things out with a nut driver and something like this. These hard drives are aluminum. Get them in there crooked too, that's really bad. And it's easier to get them in straight, get them started with a Phillips than it is with a nut driver for me. I love nut drivers for pretty much everything else. Okay, so it does make it a little kind of odd. There we go, that's not so bad. That is a Seagate that looks just like this Western Digital. Look at that. Oh, that's a Seagate too. Uh-huh. Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, this one I'm pretty sure is bad. So, it says okay right there though. But it sure does make a lot of noise and it won't work, so. I don't want to get them mixed up. I don't have a... I usually just stick a... Let me grab a sticky... I usually stick a sticky note on them and right on them, or right on the sticky note. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Back. Yeah, every time I forget and I put my hand on the bed to help myself move around and moving my camera. Bad from... What is it? Let's see it. Let's see. Get my light on it. Pavilion 7966. There's bumps on there. Okay. Don't like setting even this. I mean, this stuff's been blown off, but you can still feel the dust on them. But I don't know what else to do with it. That's my comforter there. I'm setting them on. That's what I don't like. That is so light compared to those others. Okay, make sure you get it the right side up, or else it'll make it really tricky. Actually, some of them are made different, so yeah. Yeah, if I put it right, you don't really want. I don't think it's really good to have them. Oh yeah, this would be up right side up. Okay. All these caddies are different. If you get them upside down, then I mean they'll work, but usually, but it does make it a little more tricky to. It's actually easy. I usually have better luck starting screws with this long one here. It's I always magnetize it, but I think its magnetism is wearing off. Usually I can dangle the screws all over the place and put them in with it. But I was trying to do that with this the other day when I had it apart, and it was dropping them a little too easy. It's kind of odd. Usually there's always 4 places to put screws on the hard drives, and there's only you can't put but 3 in it, period. Now I'll just kind of snug them up with this little ratchet thing. You can't get them very tight very easily with that other screwdriver. It has such a small diameter handle, but it's pretty cool. It has a twisting top, and you can put it in the palm of your hand and spin it really easy, and I love that about it. Okay, now sometimes it's easier to put it in there and then plug it up, and sometimes it's easier to, I think in this case it's going to be, oh, it goes like that. It's the weirdest one I've ever seen, but it's really very cool the way it works. You slide it into the little thing, and then it pivots around and locks in. But you don't want stuff in the way, though. I thought this would have it up where I could see it. Yeah, and that's kind of in there, I think. And I believe I want it on this one. I don't know if that's going to help or not. Well, if I get my magnifying glass with the light, I can make sure I'm getting it right. There's a little notch. There it is. There's a little notch in most of them, and that way you know you can't get it wrong unless you want to bend the pins and mess everything up. If you try hard enough, you could get anything wrong. I've seen a bunch of them that didn't have this, and you've got to, and you could plug it in either way. Some of the older machines, that's not going to work. I can't really push against it that way to get it plugged in. It would have been easier if I'd have taken everything off, I think, in the short run. Okay, let's see. But I can see that pretty good, so maybe that'll work. You definitely want to get them right, or you will mess things. I've been them before, had this, and I straightened them out, and I've seen some that were bent so many times they were, break on you. I don't remember if I ever broke any in a hard drive. No, I didn't. Monitor, I guess I broke them. Some of my VGA monitor, on my KVM, my cables from my KVM switch for monitor. I've taken them in and out so many times, and it's easy to mess those up and not even feel it when you plug them in. And make sure all that's tight in there on the motherboard. That'll do. When you're messing around like this, it'll come loose. They will come loose on you, and then you'll have trouble, and you won't know why. There's that cable I saw. I saw this cable right here, the white one down there in the video, and I saw that it went into a card, and I thought it was a video card, and I thought, I don't remember putting that back. It wasn't the video card, it was... think that's a 1394 card. I don't know if that's really the same thing as Firewire. I can't remember, but 1394 or 1934. I want that cable to be out of the way, not in of the way. Let's see. There, I think it's best if you let it shove it on up in there. As long as it's not touching the... as long as nothing's touching the CPU fan. And I don't have another... There is room enough for another hard drive, but I'm not planning on putting another one in it. Well, that'd be tricky to plug up, going around the... That's what you'd have to do. You'd have to go over the floppy. You'd have to put the end one on the top and this one on the bottom is what you'd have to do, and then work way around this ribbon cable for the floppy. That'd be hard. Okay, now probably put the cover on it here in a little bit just for it to be a little less noisy. But there we go. I think we plug it up. Let's get my, I'm gonna get these where I can reach them. These are my CDs that I'm going to be using. Don't know if I'll need any more tools right away. If I do, I'll have to get back in there. But before I, close it up, I want to see if it's even going to work right. So let me get back over here to my control center. I usually don't even move my mic. I know it makes noise, but actually it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But have to from what I'm doing here today, or lately. Guess I'll just, let me put that over out of the way. Get it out of the picture. It's distracting. Okay, put that back over there. Feel that dust clinging to my fingers from when I was handling those hard drives. And no matter how much you blow them off, they still stay a little grimy. Okay. Now I also thought of something. There was a couple of CDs I tried on it that didn't. It wouldn't boot to them, and it has a DVD drive that might read them, whereas that CD drive didn't. Because different ages of CD drives and DVD drives will and will not read some of the old other ones. Usually the older ones won't read the newer ones the way they wrote. The write speed is usually, I think, the thing that does it. But so let's get, where do we want to get? We want to get like this. We'll see the machine in one, and we'll see the monitor in the other, and I will have to switch over to the monitor that I want to, with my KVM switch, I'll switch over. Let's see. I think before I go off and do that, I will check my live stream one more time. You never know when trouble hits. That's why, well, a lot of times when my laptop is over there up in my rack and I could have got it out and had the machine out. Well, I couldn't have got to the mic. That wouldn't have worked. Anyway, I didn't want to be using up more bandwidth anyway, but I have done that. I've had the laptop on the whole time with and that's all it had to do. It's a dual core, and it would actually, it would get hot and start running the fan after a while. But anyway, it did do it okay a couple of times, and I would just use it to monitor my live stream, make sure everything was good. I could just glance over to it at the left there and look at my chat. I'd forget to look at it, and then somebody did say something to me. I didn't catch it. But Okay. There we go. Still good? Very good. Okay. Okay, go back to the cams 1 and 2. And leave it like that. It's just, yeah, that's how it has to stay. But what I'm going to do is switch. Let's see. I don't know what you see when I do this, but I know what I see. I see a black monitor. Let's switch over. Now that I got this thing out of there, it's hard to get back. Okay. Put it in a different spot. Now I can try to boot it. I'm just going to let it try to boot. See what happens. Okay, there we go. We got our boots, our logo, and just a black cursor, which is probably all we'll get. Oh, look at there, Fedora. That's the one with Fedora on it. Oh, well, it's got, it's got a boot screen for either one. And it was defaulted to XP, but I had done it like that. So I don't know which one this is. I can't remember. Let's hit XP and see what happens. See if nothing happens. No hard drive. Okay, no hard drive. So this is the Fedora hard drive. Now it might try to boot Fedora 12. That's, yeah, it's 2.6.31.5-127.FC12 I686. So FC12 tells you that's Fedora 12. I put that on there back when we were messing around with this in my van. I mentioned that before in the other video, but I have oh look, it's actually looking like it's trying to boot. Now I'm gonna hit escape so I can see the boot screen. This is a different machine. This came out of a P3. I wonder if that file system check actually fixed it last time. That looks like it's, yeah, it's doing it now. It's checking the file system for errors. Okay. I fixed it, whatever was wrong with it. Or if there was anything wrong, I don't see anything saying there was anything. It says non-contiguous. I think it fixed it a little bit. A few blocks, yeah. That'd be funny if it booted up. I mean, it wouldn't have the right video drivers and stuff, but it might boot on it. I'll let it do it if it can. So, what was I telling? Oh, I have an 83 Dodge Good Times van, and it has an air conditioner that you can plug into the AC outlet. Oh, Jeff. That's Jeff. That's the guy who gave it to me. Gave these to me. I don't remember what the password was, though. Oh, it tried to boot. That's loud. Sound works. I plugged it into that extra add-in sound deal. That it's a sound. It's a board, a little plug on a little board that plug. I mean, it's not a board. It's a metal strip that plugs into like where a PCI slot in a PCI slot. But it's a cable running down to the motherboard to the, it says speaker out. But it's working perfectly. It didn't make noise when it tried to boot. I'm trying to get that sound turned down. So anyway, I don't know what in the world would have been the password. I think I actually might have that written down somewhere. Or was that it? Let's wait and see. It is not telling me. By now it should have already. Yep, that was it. I'm not going to even tell you what it was, but it's the stupidest password in the world, I'll tell you that much. That was it. He used to do that. He finally learned not to do that. There it is. It is working. I can't believe that. Working good, too. Well, I mean, it can jump from a Pentium 3 to a Pentium 4. Going to run pretty good. So if you've never seen Fedora 12, well, it looks just like they all look almost the same. They don't change the. This is Genome 2 though. What Mate? If you're familiar with Mate Desktop, this is what Mate Desktop looks like now. You know, pretty much the same. Let's see. Let's see if we can turn on Remote Desktop and I'll really show it. Should be there. Remote Desktop. I think that's going to be the viewer. Yeah, No, there we go. Allow others. 10.104. Oh, this is on that other router. Oh, that still may work because I think I might have that. I'd have to go point that router to this, but I can do that. And we'll say configure network automatically. This was what was so beautiful about older versions of Fedora. This was built in. This is all you have to do to get remote desktop up and working. Okay, close. Now I should be able to connect to it as long as I can get the IP address right. I don't know what it is with the audio. Turn it way on down. I hope it may be that connection I'm hooked up to doesn't. The audio is not controlling it. If that's the case, I have to unplug it. It'd drive me crazy. It says speaker out, so it may not be, or it may just be that it's such a hot signal that I just really am having trouble getting it. I need to turn it way down, you know. And well, I didn't ever see when you turn. I have a knob. I'm like, there it is. Yeah, I just didn't have it quite low enough. Okay, it does work. That's the first time I've seen it come up, so I didn't know if my button. It always has. I've used this since I think I had this keyboard when I had started with in 2005 with Fedora 5. Okay, there's updates. I bet. I can't believe this is working this good. Display already set itself to the right display. 1920 by 1080. I guess because it's not using, you know, any proprietary drivers. It's using the Linux driver, so it adapted to this video card just perfectly. Let's see if we can look at the. Well, let me go get remote desktop so I can, instead of just telling you all about it, I can show you. Okay, 192. I forgot what the IP was. 10.104. I'll just leave that sitting there until I see if I can connect to it. Okay, now what do I got to do? I got to go back to my machine. I can't believe that booted up like that. I really did not think that was going to work. Thought it was a possibility. But let's see, Cam 2. Yeah, see if I would have been thinking, whoops, Cam 1. I would have, this is what I meant to do during that time. Right there. I was on the wrong. I mean, it was okay. You could see everything going on from every angle, but, you know, I wanted to make it close enough so you'd be able to see some idea of what the heck I was talking about. Sorry. I had a funny feeling I didn't have something right, but let's get on my desktop screencast here. Jump over here to remote desktop, and before I'll just try. I think that is the IP of that router that's on, and if it's pointed to the right machine, I'll get an answer. I should. No. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go to. How will I be able to get on that router? Well, I can get on it from that machine there. I'll just do that. Okay, now I'll show you the way I had intended. Go back to the machine until I get it, see if I can get it working there. Okay, open up a web browser. I don't know if I can remember the router's password though. Let's see. That's the last. It had errored out somehow, the browser, on the last web page that I was on. Happened to have been my website. It's my old IP address, but that's my website. That wouldn't work. Okay, I don't like all those shortcuts showing, bookmarks and stuff. Oh, it's been there before. Been to a different one, but that's okay. I'll just readdress it. 10.1, I believe. There we go. Now, I don't believe it'll show the password. If it does, I will do something where you can't see it. I'm always, sometimes I forget and when I'm logging into Bane, because you have to write your name in first and then do the password. In Fedora, it's already in the password screen, and I start typing in the password. And it was pretty fuzzy on a camera view like this, so I don't know that it showed it, but really, but let's see. Gotta find that. Okay, I believe I have it now. Yeah, it doesn't show it. I didn't think it did. They're all admin, you know that. Do you want to remember the password? Not now. Okay. Access. Virtual server. And VNC 10.101. Huh. Oh, I gave it a different IP because I reserved that IP for the laptop. That's why I didn't. It wouldn't give it the same IP. Okay. That is all I want to change. Oh, okay. I was looking at the other ones and seeing what's all that about. Okay, I'm going to leave it there like that for now. 10.104. It should just work now. We'll see. Let's see. I got to go back to my machine. On my KVM switch. That's one of the best things I ever bought. If you got a bunch of machines, I spent $100 on a 4-port USB KVM switch, and I've had it since 2000. I don't know, 99, 2000, 2002. I don't remember, but it's been lifesaver. Okay, desktop screencast. Oh yeah, it is a bit loud. Maybe I'll put the cover on it. But it's just the normal hum. I might have to reboot it. I need to see. I'm going by, I believe, what I need to know for sure is, let me go ahead and put the cover on it. I'll just switch back over there and then I will, but I need to make sure I know what IP to go to from here, because I got to go on my router and then it will be automatically forwarded. It's already set up on my router to forward to whatever the IP address is of that router there. Oh, I did reboot my router. I might have to. Well, I didn't get any notices saying my website is down, but I usually, if I reboot this router, then the ones that are plugged into it usually need to be rebooted. Might have to do that. Okay, now I'll put the cover on it. I just keep forgetting which. I just thought, well, I'll switch and show what I'm doing, you know. And I didn't. I hit the wrong one again. I mean, you got the general idea, but what's the point in having all this fancy switching stuff if you can't do it right, huh? Okay. Yeah, I'll have to go into my while I'm here, I may as well hit the live stream. Make sure it's okay. Looking good. Yeah, it's nice to monitor your live stream and know what you're actually showing for sure. Okay. Yep, it's not seeing that router. So you got to have two fixes. Okay, let me get up here and reboot the. Let's see. Yeah, I'll get up here and reboot that router. And I'm gonna have to move my mic so that I can get up there. Okay. Yeah, I would come back just so I could cough, wouldn't I? I'm gonna leave my thing sitting there. That's where it probably ought to be. My little prop. It's my multimeter box, or it's my multimeters in it. I like to keep it in there to keep it protected. Anyway, that should be rebooted pretty soon there. I'm going to switch over and make sure that box has got a IP and it's online. Okay. Let's see. Just do it on. Let's see what its IP is. It could have even changed. Still 104. It's not. Okay, so what I'll do is disable networking and then re-enable. When you reboot, sometimes they'll go ahead and fix the connection automatically, and sometimes they won't. But if you're not online, then you're not. You know, I did this. I rebooted my router and rebooted the one, my main router, my TP-Link, and then I rebooted the Trend. They're so similar, they're hard for me. TrendNet, the one that this machine is on today or yesterday, and that's what my server is on. That's the way I have to do it because of the way everything is. I actually had a link that said I had to take out of my. I was using 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, I was still using 3 routers. I'm using 3 right now, but one of them's a really old one, and it loses it. You have to reboot it every time. But this one, sometimes it doesn't. I don't know if it takes longer or, you know, that could be a bad page. Let's go to Google, make sure. It was a bad page. Ooh, okay. So forget that story. Everything's fine. Okay, so I just want to see that it does a search. Yeah. Go to my website just for the fun of it. Okay, it's up. But this is the same router that my server's on, so it's, you know, it's going to be up on the local network. As long as I don't get a notice saying it's down on the internet, then I'll be fine. With all this rebooting and everything. Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's an old Fedora start page, and it's not there anymore. I don't know. That just kind of popped into my head. I didn't think that up. Glad. Okay, now I want to go to desktop stream. And let's go. Before I even do that, go to live dashboard again, and then I can close the web browser just to make sure that went to something else. Oh, what in the world? Went to live dashboard, didn't I? Okay, it's okay. Just had to reload. That's a scary thing. Okay, looks like it's all good. It's showing my error that I just had. So yeah, I am on my desktops and everything. Okay, good there. I had to close that. I guess I said that 1,000 times. You know, I forgot to make sure I knew what the IP was, but I believe this is right. Oh, I couldn't see it yet. Oh, I hate when I'm confused. Okay. Trying to go, when you're making a video, you try to go fast so as not to drive everybody crazy. The harder I try to go fast, the longer it takes me because I start getting things wrong. That's my excuse. TLWR. Huh. 101. I didn't know it had that weird IP address. I mean, name, weird TLWR. TEW. Okay, it's TLWR. See, even their made up name, their host name is weird. Yeah, but TEW, that is the other router that's on. 108. Okay, so what I'm wondering now, 10.108, just like I thought. What I'm wondering now is if you're going to have to reboot that machine to get remote desktop to work. Oh, I'm just fiddling around with it. I mean, it doesn't matter so much whether I, boot departed magic or whatever. It's just to see how it runs, to show that it's working. I'm trying to see what kind of machine it is, how well it runs, whether or not what I might want to use it for. It's running pretty good. Now, if I had a newer version of Fedora on it, then it wouldn't be able to handle the new versions. I know that because I've got it on a P4 that's at 2.4 gigahertz and it can't really handle it. And it's got a 64 megabyte video card in it. So let me go back and look at my setup. That trash can thing is weird. I don't like that being there. Oh, we'll leave it alone. Trying to fix things. Gray PC, what? Let's see what that was. Now I want to know what it is. Gray CP won't connect to your router. Oh. Yeah, we had a router. He had a router that we put in my truck, in my van, and we were getting on the internet from out there. Of course. I mean, why do it if you can't get on the internet? Okay, let's look at the, wasn't in administration, it was in remote desktop. Boy, I went around and around and around with Fedora 24 and 25 trying to, 25 especially. It should be 10.104. I'd prefer to have a password in there. I'm not going to take that out. But I think maybe I might have to reboot for that to work. There's very few things. Well, this is an older version too. Most things you don't have to reboot for, but in Fedora, do a restart. But this is an older version, so. Yeah, it gets kind of, it can be a bit tricky to get remote desktop working when you've got 3 routers and different versions of even the same. See, I'm on Fedora 23 on the one I'm streaming from, and have to use the arrow keys, go up and hit enter in order to boot to the Fedora. This one happens to have been defaulted to. This is what I'll leave it like this. This is what it looks like normally when you don't hit escape to see the command line. Although I might be able to see if remote desktop is starting up. Let me go ahead and do that. How far has it already gone? Looks like I'm going to get to see most of it. I don't know if I'll see that remote. It goes by pretty quick and it's small, but I'll try. There's not as I don't think there's as much on this one's just a basic system without a bunch of stuff added, so it probably won't have near as much starting up as my systems that I use all the time. Plus, if there's any errors, I'll see them. So the hard drive evidently, the audio must go back to the higher volume when you reboot or something. Banged in my ear again. But maybe that reboot will make remote desktop work. So that's going to actually turn out okay. I'm always short on hard drives because those are actually, I guess, one of the most common things to go out on machines. And I think I'll just go into those settings again just to see if it all looks good. Checking the connectivity. Should be okay. I didn't put it on must confirm. That makes it really a pain in the butt. Okay, so it should be ready to do it now. All my sticky notes that I have up there are getting turned around in there, competing with my eyes to be able to see those lights and see where I'm at. Okay, so desktop screencast, remote desktop. What's wrong with you? Oh, firewall. It says, would you like, a little checkbox, connect the machine to accept connections, but I don't think it changes the firewall for you. I always have to do it on any other machine. I mean, I still had to reboot the router and some of this other stuff that I did, but firewall, administrator, firewall. I think maybe this is it. I know all this stuff like at the back of my hand, but it takes a little time to sink in. Okay. Uh-oh. I don't think... I'll bet you... See, I set this up, so I'll bet you I did put a half-decent root. I think I actually ran across this a few times. Password for this. Let's see. Because since I set it up, I had it written down. Oh, that's a different one. Let's start with that because it's one of his old machines, one that I worked on for him. I worked on a bunch of machines for him, and then that's why he'll give me stuff whenever he gets stuff that he don't want. Okay. Not it. Okay. What's this? I don't even know what I'm showing on my camera anymore. Let's see. What went to sleep? Oh, it must be set to go to sleep. Oh, I was trying to get in as root. I ought to turn off that. That's very annoying. Turn off the screensaver if I can without typing in the root password. Activate. Oh, it's going to turn on the screensaver and lock the screen. And it also will put it to sleep. Never. Okay, now it'll probably be all right. Okay. Don't lick your fingers when you've been handling all kinds of nasty, dusty stuff. Even though I wiped my hands 100 times, it didn't help. Oh. I guess I'd better to drink it down. Get a little water than to deal with it. This may be the one that I don't have written down anywhere. Because it was just a toy to play with. It might run TeamViewer, but I don't know if TeamViewer will even run on one that old or not. Because I have a portable version of TeamViewer that I could just run on there without even installing, or I could install it. But we can't install anything without knowing the root password. And you can't change the root password without knowing the root password. So I think I might be stuck with that business. It doesn't matter. I was not planning on leaving that on there. And no, he would not know it. He's sometimes, like, especially this one, I was looking at that one laptop I worked on for him. He called me or emailed me or whatever, asking me, did I remember the password for that? Because it wasn't his, it was his girlfriend's, who he now married, and that's why he moved away. But okay. I just was looking at the one that I had that was on that particular laptop, and that could be what this one is. If I can type it. That was it. Okay. I'm going to have to just write it down. Okay. Sorry. Because I might forget it in the next 5 minutes. Now in HP Pavilion, I don't really want to keep writing that out. 7966. I can't believe it's running. Okay, I think we have something there. Except for I did the one thing I hate doing. I wrote it the wrong way on the piece of paper. Okay, hate that. Now it doesn't open like a book like it should. Okay. Very aggravating. Okay, now but still, I'm in the firewall. Trusted services. Okay, I'm in trusted services. I'll just put in the things that you might want to use. I might want to use. Would be about it. Yes, I want to save that. Okay, now other ports. Usually, I just have to go ahead especially back then. Trusted interfaces. I'm just going to collect them all because I don't want to have to fiddle around with any of it. No masquerading, no port forwarding, ICPM filter. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to have to add the port that I want. There it is. 5900 for remote desktop. Now I'm just going to, well, let's close it because I don't know. Oh, well, I hit apply, so I can leave. Well, I'm going to close it anyway. Sometimes, you know, these apps don't completely say what you did until you completely get out of them. Actually, I'm going to put this back over here. Okay. Now. Okay, at least we were showing what we thought we were showing. That's a good sign. Now maybe we'll get an answer this time instead of a no. No. Yeah. Okay. See, sooner or later, one day or the next, I will get it working. All right. So, where were we back yesterday? Okay. Oh, I still have my web browser open over here. Well, it wasn't open to the live stream at least. But let's just look at it before we close it. See if we're showing a nice little remote desktop screen on there. It's definitely about the same volume level as my Pentium 4 or any of those machines. It's kind of funny because that IBM that turned into a server, it's a Celeron D, but it is super quiet. I don't think it has an, I think it has, yeah, it has a, doesn't have a case fan, which is not good, but as long as you just don't add, you know, a bunch of other stuff to make it get hot. Let's see, are we all good? We're all good. Okay, we're going to close that. And I didn't even look, I just saw good. I didn't see what we were showing, but I kind of remember seeing something blue, so that was this. So as long as we're set to remote desktop, we're good. Okay. Anyway, the IBM is super quiet, and that's why I picked it for the server. But I've been wanting to put, I've kind of wanted to make it into like a router, basically. They call it a appliance, internet appliance. Basically, it has a router in it, but I want to have the router in it and the server in it, and put more and more NIC cards in it, network cards. I already tried that, and I couldn't get it to work because there's something funky. Well, I couldn't get it to work for a couple of reasons. The main reason was, though, there's something funky about that onboard video card, and it would not work on my new router. That's why it's off on that other router, that older router. It won't work on my new router, period. So I was been kind of hoping to find another machine to build my server on. But I don't want something loud or that makes a lot of heat. Either one of those would kill that idea. So that's one of the reasons why I'm checking these out and listening to them and talking about how loud they are and all that. Because these are all candidates for my new server. I might be able to turn off that onboard NIC in the BIOS, and as long as it will stay off, and like I don't think it would come back on its own, but if it did, like if the power went out and it kind of made everything glitch and it went back to the defaults for the BIOS, then it might turn it back on. And I'd be going, what's wrong with my server? You know, not knowing that it happened. So anyway, that might be what I could do, but it seemed like there was other reasons. I remember I had all kinds of trouble. Finally figured out how to set it up in the software with a bunch of NICs, but a bunch of network cards. But anyway, this is this machine, the HP 7966. I have to look over there at it every time. Luckily, I can just read it. And this is just the default Fedora 12, running along happy as you please. And as Abby Word, I don't think Fedora comes with, I think it might come with, not Open Office, but what is it called? I think I have it on here. LibreOffice now. It used to only come with Abby Word, and it was Evolution Mail. Now it comes with something else. But I like Thunderbird. That's what I use. And I got to pay attention to, I can click on too many different things from this spot. And a few basic apps there. A lot of it is still very much the same. Oh, the system information. That's what I wanted to see. Yeah, system monitor. That should tell me a lot of it anyway. The one that comes with it, I think, yeah, this is the one that'll tell you your kernel and all that stuff. Did I lose connection there? Uh-oh. It's not responding. I hope running remote desktop is not too much. Well, oh, you know what? The machine might have locked up. Hope it's not too much for my, better go look at my stream health. Yeah, it may have locked up, which would not be surprising considering that was not installed on that machine, you know. Actually, I think that was the problem I had with it before, and I thought that I had installed the wrong version, like the AMD version on the, or I don't think that the machine was an AMD because I was messing with it. Seems like I kept remembering that I installed the wrong version. Maybe it was just acting up, period. I guess when I close it with it on that page, with it running and I didn't even bother to stop the stream from playing. I just want to see if my remote desktop is showing up properly. Well, that's showing what I just did, of course. Oh, yeah, so I'd have to, oh, I can't see that. I'd be lucky to see that. Okay, but that's all good. My stream's still good, and I went ahead and paused it. I don't know if it'll cause that error again or not. We're on remote desktop. Okay. Okay. It did finally change. It was just taking a long time. I think remote, yeah, there we go. Remote desktop is just not, I mean, I'm not streaming a camera right now, but because they stopped streaming, that OBS Studio stops the camera from streaming when it streams through VLC. It sets up a VLC stream. It stops when you go off of it. But this, actually, oh, I know. Well, it's on this other router. I've been having trouble with that. That's why I ended up taking that Linksys out. But none of these other routers, going from my TP-Link to the TrendNet, it's just not a good speed. It's not enough speed for remote desktop to work well like it used to always work for me with the same exact apps, you know. So anyway, there we are. That's Fedora 12 Constantine 2.6 kernel, Genome 2. 498, so 512 megabyte of memory, 1.7 gigahertz. Disk space, available disk space, 32 gigabytes, so there's not a whole lot used up. Doesn't say, yeah, memory, oh, okay. Doesn't say video memory there. Okay, and then the processes were on that one. There, this is the one I like to use. I like the other one, this one here. This other one is the KDE version. You just got to search, and if you want to look for an app, you can look for it that way. But you can still organize it by, it's going to be hard to drag and move them over, but I can hit that and make it show which one's using the most CPU. Yeah, there we go. The Vino server, that's the VNC server. The remote desktop server, that's the one using the most. It's actually using quite a bit. 19% of that single core. And then Genome System Monitor is using 20%. So that's why I don't ever run this app all the time like I do the other one. It doesn't do that real bad like that. Let's see about the memory. It's only got 512 megabytes. So I think you have to hit it again and make it get the, yeah. Vino using 12 megabyte. Not too bad though back then. And see, a lot of times you can, I used to always leave it on CPU as the, organize it by the most use on CPU, but I've kind of figured out, organize it by the most use on memory, and then usually CPU follows right along with it, so you can see them both. So yeah, not too bad, but see if I close Genome System Monitor, the machine will actually run better. So we'll do that. But yeah, my remote desktop's a little slow now. I had that trouble when I had a new Domain 8 installed on my laptop, my dual-core laptop, and I had this same trouble with the remote desktop. It would get really bad, and I couldn't really do anything. Here's the settings in here. But I can't believe that the whole system's running this well. So the system didn't lock up. It was the remote desktop that was basically locked up for a little bit there. It was lagging, behind. And kind of think of, is there anything I really want to show out of all this? Add and remove software. Let's go into the add and remove software. I think, let's see, what did they use? It was different. I can't think of the name of it. This is the app that they used. I mean, Yum is the actual thing that does the work, but this was what they installed. GPK application. I think they call it G package or something. And I believe you can look for updates in here. I won't mess around with that though, since it's kind of really a bit sluggish, and that does use more memory too. What would be the other thing? I guess it's going ahead and opening that stuff up because I've already typed in the root password. See, I went there, software update. I'm just curious on that. I know there may not be any because, this is a long into life system, so they're probably, it may not show anything. It may not be, they still leave the software up there, but they'll put it in an archive FTP site. So this may just come up with an error here in a little bit. I'll just let it run for a minute as long as it's not making it run too slow. Of course, we saw through the camera that Firefox works. I mean, of course, it's going to run into all kinds of errors if you were trying to really do any surfing. But probably with 512 megabyte of start Fedora, that page is not there anymore. So what you put it on Google, I believe it worked a minute ago. Yeah, Google works. And then go to edit, go to edit preferences. Boy, it runs pretty doggone good for 512 megabytes of RAM. Use current page, and then I won't fiddle around with the rest of it. Let's see. Just so that if I keep messing with it, I'll know that it's still checking for updates. It hadn't come back and saying can't contact server or whatever. So let's see. Let's look at the bookmarks and Genome, ftp.genome, VLC working on cross-platform. Let's go to organized bookmarks, see what was in there from back then. I always save bookmarks as I work, so I know there was at least some stuff in there because I fiddled around with it. Well, there we go. I didn't save much. I was actually setting this up for him to use, so I might have decided not to put much in there. See if genome.org still has an FTP site. Actually, I wanted to go to Fedora Planet. Yeah, Aaron, well, it came up in the desktop that I was in, or workspace. But oldgenome.org. No, that was from that. It wasn't from that. Oh, unable to generate public pair key. Oh, okay. So we don't want to fool with that anyway. But there's an FTP site. So that should take us to the Fedora Planet site if it works. Oh, Fedora Project. Okay, that's where I really wanted to go. I think maybe the browser's too old for anything to work, or it's doing the same thing. No key pair. I kept clicking. Okay. Let's go back over here at the updates. I'm really kind of worried about running too much stuff at the same time. It's still checking. I can't believe it's going that long without coming back with an error or something. Go to Fedora project. I would think it would. You know, most everything is SSH connections now, secure socket layer, and Fedora Unity. Oh. Oh. Huh. I wonder if it's Fedora. Oh, I've got it all wrong. Fedora.org. Maybe that's it. I don't actually really know what the exact URL is. Someone else has that. That's why they have a weird website. I knew they had an odd URL for the main page. Getfedora.org. That's what it is now, anyway. Connection failed. Try again. You may not be able to go to it because this browser may not support the HTTP. Oh, no. Look at that. I lost my connection to my remote desktop. Hope it didn't break it. No. Didn't. I just lost my connection. And see, another computer is controlling your desktop. Now, if you had it set to where you had to say OK to it, then I would have to flip back over there to that machine. But you can't go to that page. Can't go to the main Fedora page. And that's because the browser's too old. Go back to that. That's still checking for updates. Okay, so I was going to go back to that search results. Well, it's not really going to matter then, is it? Other than if I just want to bookmark it for the fun of it. Okay, the browser's not any good because it's just way too old. That's Fedora 3.5.5. That's pretty old compared to 50.1 or something like that, what I have now, or what we're running now. Okay, we'll close it up. I noticed I have some old Pentium 3s out in the garage that are running Debian 5 and 6, and I hadn't used them much in a while. And in the last year, I'll use it when I'm out there in the garage, you know, working and stuff. And I'll use remote desktop to control the one in the house here to look at the weather and do stuff like that. Actually, that's the one thing I try to do out there is look at the temperature and time and temperature. But it wouldn't work. And so I had Chrome on there and opened that up, or it might have been Chromium, and it actually still worked. But Fedora, Firefox wouldn't work for nothing. So, and they got newer versions than that on them. But that's the add remove software. Still working away. Okay. Waiting in queue. Oh. Could be that crash has been detected. It could be that it's hung up. I think I'll close it. Oh. After I click on that crash button, it came up. Or is that another page? Yeah, that's another page. Automatic bug reporting tool. Well, yeah. ABR2, so that could report bugs. Of course, there's no one there to report them to anymore, so we don't need that. Okay. Oh, I could have read and seen what crashed. I'm gonna quit that. It's just slowing down the machine. There's no updates. I wouldn't want to. Well, I might run the updates just for the fun of it if it was any there, but when I mean, it didn't actually seem to run badly, even though I had that running. But that's when I started with Fedora. That's what I had, was a machine that used to run XP. It had 512 megabyte of RAM, I think, and did have a 64 megabyte video card. This one's a 32. It's a Pentium 4 like this, but it was a 2.4 gigahertz, not a 1.7. But that's running pretty good. So if you put and there are some lightweight distros. Debian's really lightweight. Debian 8 would probably run on here okay. Well, with 512 megabyte of RAM, it ought to be so great. But put a little more RAM in it. Even if I could there's another empty RAM slot. Put another 256. I think I might have another 256 out in the garage. Megabyte RAM stick. Put that in there, and that'd be like 768 or whatever. So ABRT, I'll look at it, see what was the problem, and then you might be able to, use it. If not, then there's some other ones that are specifically designed, like even lighter weight than that. But you could go with Debane instead of the Genome. Debane still uses Genome. Well, it doesn't use Genome 2 anymore. It uses Mate, and I like that. I've got it on my laptop now. But you could use XFCE, which is even lighter, and it might do all right. Or go to another distro that's just even lighter weight, made for old machines. There's always something you could run on. Or, if nothing else, you could always just make it a headless server without any graphic user interface and make it into a web server, file server, media server, whatever. Let's see. Vino actually had an error, the remote desktop, but I guess that's why I lost my connection. Genome settings had an error. This is all. Well, that's 2010. Yeah, so these are some of the errors that it had back then. That's the last time it's probably been on is 2010. That's how long ago it's been since we played with it. So I set it up. So, 2009. So I actually must have set it up in 2009. Yep. Probably, since that's the oldest error, November of 2009 is probably around the general time that I set it up. And then it had been on in 2010. It used to actually lock up and stuff. I remember that on that other machine. It could have been the machine, because so far it hasn't locked up on me. Server gave a little trouble there. But I think this is cool. But this is getting to be, I noticed it was over an hour. Throat's getting a little raw and sore. I want to do more. I want to put Party Magic in it and stuff. But I also need a little break. So if I do come back today, take a little break first. Time is it? It's 8:28. I've been up all night though. I got up at, already forgot. I think around 9 o'clock last night. I got my schedule all turned around. But I've been fiddling around with computers ever since I got going. Well, I was on the computer, looking at my videos and retitling them and stuff. And then once I woke up, I went outside and made actually 2 videos at one time out there. One with the handheld and one with the live stream. That was silent because the audio. I turned on the audio on the camera, but it didn't work. I don't think I can do it. Even if I did get it to, I'll probably have to add another stream to OBS. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. But then the thing is the video is always behind my mic here that I'm talking on right now. And so if I did have another one, you would hear that horrible echo that would make everything unintelligible. It would be a little quieter because the mics on the cameras on the phones don't pick up near as good as this mic here. So you'd have this faint echo that would drive you insane. I think I had it working once, and that's what it did. I don't remember how I did it now. But anyway, I've kept it all, the audio turned off anyway in all these phones to make sure I don't use up bandwidth for nothing, because I'm not even using that audio, But it didn't come through. There was no sound whatsoever. So it streamed okay. It wasn't bad. It's a little bit of ghosting when I would move my hand or something. It actually could make it into a good video if I was to overdub it and, like narrate it. It could be all right. And then I did a handheld just to make sure I got what was going on there. And, of course, that's not very good. Can't work. I was working in one hand, a camera in one hand and a screwdriver in the other, and other, or on the keyboard or whatever. And it was just. So, yeah, and if you've seen my other videos complaining about how hard it is to set up, I can't get remote desktop working. I've read other people. In Fedora 25, I can't get the regular Vino. I installed Vino server. I tried another one, I think. But I went ahead and installed Vino because I knew I'd used it for years and it worked. Can't get it to, I can get it to, actually I got it working. Everything worked except, it would work. Okay, I could look at, I was doing it on my laptop, so I could look over there to my left at the laptop. And I could see it was working. But what I saw here on my screen was nothing happening. If I would do things, I didn't see it here on my screen like this right now. But on the laptop, I could see it happening. and I never did figure out how to make it actually work. I got further than everybody else I saw on the forums and stuff, though. They didn't even get that far. And I just did it I didn't fool around in the command line or editing config files. I just kept uninstalling and uninstalling apps that I thought might make it work. I got that far. But I've done a bunch of reading and everything. But it's really aggravating. I mean, if you saw this rest of this video where I set it up, other than my forgetting what I needed to do, and my router needing to be rebooting, it's so simple. All I had to do, I actually didn't think I needed to reboot. All I had to do was go in here. Since I'm talking about it, I'll just show it again. Remote desktop. If you you just go in here and you click the right boxes to tell it to turn it on, put your password in there or not if you want to be crazy. Set it up just like that. Allow others. Password, always do that. And go ahead and click that from there. Configure network automatically to accept connections, but it won't configure your firewall like you would think it would. It doesn't do that. And then go to the firewall. You have to go to administration firewall, and you have to go in there and manually. Now I went ahead and checked allow and all this other stuff, but I know from experience. Now you got to put in the root password. Trusted services. I clicked the ones that I know I might use on here, and I went ahead and there was no VNC though or remote desktop to click, so I had to manually set it up. I go to other ports and add the 5900. That's the standard port unless you change it. And then I don't do 5800 is for the reason letting a browser access it with a Java app, and I don't do that because that's really going to be coming from the internet, and I don't want that anyway. Don't want nobody to be able to do that, So this is on your local network. So, I mean, I think you might be able to do. Well, no, you can do it. You can use this. I've done it. You can use a regular VNC app like this too. I helped another friend named Jeff. I set it up. I built a computer for him with Windows XP. And I was using a VNC app, but it was real VNC. That's the first one I learned on. And I set it up. I'm not so sure if it'd work in Vino here, but it did in real VNC. And he'd call me up and say, "Oh, I can't see my." He'd call me up one day, "I can't see my screen. It's black." So I said, "Well, I've checked in, and I was able to hook up to his." I think he could see it in one setting. I'd helped him pick it out. He had bought a TV. This is in the early days of LCDs, and he bought or flat screens or whatever. It was a combination TV and a computer monitor. It was only 720 resolution. It wasn't high resolution, but if you got the settings wrong on it, then it would be black and it wouldn't be able to see the computer or the TV or whatever. And then something had gone kind of wonky with it. So anyway, I was able to log into it. From 15 miles away, I was able to log into it with a remote desktop and change the settings because he didn't know very much about computer. He had just learned how to, use a computer and get on the internet. That's why he learned a computer so he could get on eBay and stuff. And so anyway, I went in there, and XP was real bad about changing the settings for you to be nice and making you not get any. That's what it was. I remember now. The XP had just done what it always used to do. Somehow it thought it smarter than you were, and it changed the settings when it booted up, and gave him a black screen. So I went back and set the settings the way they needed to be, so that his video would go out to both, to his monitor. It wasn't a regular VGA monitor. I think that's why it didn't, it would do that. It did that several times on him. Anyway, I fixed it remotely, and I was sitting there. It was kind of funny. I was like, "You can't see that? No, it's black. Can you see it now? No, it's black." Finally, now I had trouble, like I always do, remembering exactly what to do. So once I remembered what to do, got it working again. Can you see it now? Yeah. So it was kind of cool. That was when I had learned remote desktop fairly well in Windows back then. I guess that was pre-2005 because I might have been using Linux at that time. I think I was. I was using it, but I hadn't. Yeah, I think I was. So, but I'm sure. I mean, that's one of the first things I did when I discovered you could do remote desktop in, Fedora Linux. This easy. I turned it on to where I could use it. But I haven't really done it, across the internet much. Mostly on a local network here, like that. But and I don't. And not shortly after that, I actually started turning it off on my machines and only turning it on when I needed to use it, because, especially like I said, port 5800 that goes through a web browser to the internet, because I saw in my I've ran a server for quite a few years, and I would see in my server logs that people kept trying to hammer port 5800 or 5900 VNC, trying to hack into remote desktop. So they never did it, never got in. As always failed attempts. But they're also trying to log into my FTP site. I had FTP, used it for years, but it was read only. There was no login for it, and they kept trying to log into it and using up my bandwidth and wearing out my machine. And so finally quit using FTP server. I just do a plain old web server from my website. But I don't know why I'm telling long stories all of a sudden. I guess that's what happens when you get tired. Okay, let's look at the disk utility. That is one of the main things I wanted to do. And yeah, this is already there. This is not Gparted though. This is Olympus disk utility. It'll still tell you a lot about it. I don't think Gparted comes on Fedora 12, or comes on Fedora now, I believe. But here it is. It has a floppy drive, no media, 40 gigabyte hard drive, 37 gig free. There we go. There's a little more in there. Okay. Oh, it failed its self-test. I didn't know it had that 6 minutes ago. It's not acting up, though. Powered on 3.7 years. 25 bad sectors. Don't warn me if this disk is failing. Okay. Read error is good. Spin up time is good. Start stop count good. Relocated sector count. You usually get this kind of thing with all old drives, though. Most old drives. I'm not going to read all of that. That's not too bad, though. 24 sectors. That's good. Seek error rate. Power on. Hours not available. Good. Current pending sector count. Warning. Okay, number of sectors waiting to be remapped. Okay. Let's see. It's so tiny I can barely even see it. But anyway, it's telling you all the conditions under whether or not it'll be remapped. No. Okay, and then right error rate, good. Okay. Let's run that self-test again and see. Short. Although it's already ran it, but yeah, this is the kind of thing I was wanting to do in Party Magic. There's a bunch more tools in Party Magic, but I'll see if it fails or doesn't fail that test again. I don't know if this little tool, part of the tool, is even in the new Fedora disk utility. If it is, I'll have to look for it. I think I can, I don't know. I'll start saying I can click on the other stuff and see about that, but it might mess the test up. I'm not sure. It's taking a lot. It's a short test, but it's taking a lot longer than I thought it would. Let's go ahead and risk it. Oh, can't. Won't let you. Okay, so yeah, that test would be. It's all right. I mean, it's an older software, but it's also older hardware, so it'd be about right for it. There you go. It's beginning to pick up and get towards the end of it. If that was not setting right there close to me, it wouldn't be so bad if I had it down in my rack with the back pointing towards my curtains. That kind of absorbs some of the noise. Wouldn't be any worse than any of those others. So it's an alright machine with a decent hard drive that's not failed in it. Starting to need a cough drop. Getting close. I get impatient. I don't think there's any other good disk usage analyzer is very useful. I like it. Okay, it's done. Looks like maybe the same exact errors. I just wanted, sometimes when you open up a disk utility and you see a bunch of errors, if you run it again, it'll be different or none, That's the same. So yeah. Okay, so what to be expected. As long as it'll, continue be able to tell it not to is the software that you put on there can go ahead and tell it not to use those bad sectors, and you won't be. And it doesn't say warning, it's failing. It just has some bad sectors, so it won't be. And this is the boot sector right here, 210 megabytes. That just has what it needs to boot. You wouldn't want to mess with any of that. And the LVM, 40 gigabyte LVM, this is where the operating system is and everything. Then it has a CD drive and a CD DVD drive. So, just close that up. Well, that is amazing. I can't believe that it just. I've always wondered how well that would work. I may have tried it one other time. Usually I don't. But popping a hard drive, a Linux hard drive out of one machine and popping it in another. But since there's no proprietary drivers installed, I think that's the key to why it, video drivers. That's why it just ran like top. I am kind of surprised that it didn't have a little trouble with it, being a different processor. But that was one of the wonders. I guess I had done it a few times, but I never left it because, I went ahead and reinstalled a new system. But, yeah, I remember that. I did do it back in the earlier days just because, I had done that with XP and went around. I had to call Microsoft to figure out how to get it to work, and it still didn't work well. And the biggest problem, of course, was with Windows XP was it was squawking. No, your hardware's changed. Your hardware's changed. Well, so what? And so anyway, I ended up on that machine. I went from a Pentium 3 to the Pentium 4, and I ended up having to reinstall and everything. Then I was fine. But I had bought it and bought the install CD, the whole Windows XP Pro install CD. And I wasn't running it on two machines at once or anything. I'd actually taken that hard drive out and put it in the other machine, So anyway, that's about it, I think. Pretty cool. Yeah, so Jeff, if you ever happen to see this video, I got your Fedora 12 working on that HP. How about that? There's nothing under the account information. I don't ever put a bunch of junk in there. You can do that still on the newer ones. But I set that up for him to learn. He never did really fiddle with it, though, until I built him a Linux laptop. Then he fiddled with it more later, a couple of years later, several years later. It was Corora, which is a remix of Fedora, Corora 17, and this is Fedora 12. So that many, and they put out a distro every year, a new release every year. So that would have been the same, Corora 17 would have been the same as Fedora 17. So anyway, that was how long. He never did really fiddle with this. Well, he just had it, like setting. He didn't have it really set up where he could use it, I don't think. But It stayed in my van for a long time. I guess it stayed in my van for a year now that I look back at those error rates and everything. Well, I think one time we started it up. I think he took it home and then he brought it back and we started it up another time one time. But it wasn't running right. That's right. He couldn't mess with this one because there's something wrong with that machine it was in. There's more wrong with it than just the it wasn't the hard drive, it wasn't the install. I can see that now. I always thought I had done something wrong with the install, but I don't think so. I think I could have reinstalled it even. I don't remember now. Might have started out that way. But you know what? There's something I had not caught on to for quite a few years. When machines run but act crazy and lock up and do strange things. And then they do it on Windows and they do it on Linux. And I thought the hard drive was the problem. Turns out 9 times out of 10 it's the power supply. It's working, but it's not putting out enough voltage, or the voltage is going up and down and up and down. That's really a hard thing to test too. I mean, you can sit there and watch it. The way I finally learned to catch it is to get in a BIOS, and a good BIOS that has the voltage that you can read in the BIOS. Sit there and watch it for 10, 20, 30 minutes. You know, just kind of keep glancing up at it while you're doing other stuff or something, you know. And you see that voltage, you know, like 12. You need 12 volts on all your hard drives, and so if your hard drive voltage is dropping down to like 11.2 volts or maybe 11.5, might not be enough. Depends on the hard drive. Some of them will run okay on 11.5, and some of them won't. So, and that will start causing you to throw read and write errors, and then your system will crash or lock up. So, it's not always the hard drive. When you have what you think is hard drive problems, it can often be, very often be the power supply. And I finally figured it out it took a long time more for that power supply, those 2 or 3 hard power supplies to fail a couple more years. Then I realized, and then I started learning. At some point, I started learning what I just said, to start watching the voltage, because you can't sit there with a multimeter stuck in the 12-volt connectors. Well, I mean, you could like clip them on or something and leave the door open, but it's easier to watch it in BIOS than to do it with a multimeter. And back then, I didn't even have a digital multimeter. I had my old Radio Shack analog meter that. My eyes are not good enough to see where 12 volts is anymore. I just know it's somewhere in the vicinity of 10, you know. So, okay. So, let's see. Well, I can just shut it down remotely. Shut down. Shut down. Boom. All right. Don't you love that? Boom. Yeah, I hate that too. Okay, so look at my live stream, and yeah, I was talking about it a long time ago, but needing a break, but it makes noise. Oh, crap. Boy, that was weird. My amplifiers didn't like that. I don't know if you could hear that the way I could. I probably at least heard the pops, but it was sitting there going, dum, 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 dum. Even after the machine was completely shut down. That's when it started. So that extra, even though that thing makes a pop when it boots up, I bet that onboard video card's better than that speaker jack they plugged into the motherboard. I mean, that's a speaker connector on the motherboard, but it's a speaker connector, not a line out. And line out is what you really want for going to your amplifiers, not a speaker output. History. So, I want to check my live stream before I shut down. I always like to know if it was working right. Let's see. And my video, well, it's up to 2.1 gigabytes. Imagine it's still all right. Sometimes it takes a while to switch to another. Looks like, I don't know why the live page is not coming in good today. Stop it and try reloading it. There we go. I think there's just something a bit slow about it. Luckily, that's what if you're doing live streams, go ahead and do save it to your hard drive at the same time, because sometimes they don't work even though they look like they're working. And you'll be sorry if you didn't have a backup. Because I mean, if you make a 1 hour and 50-minute video like I just did, and you shared all this wonderful, valuable information and rambled on about junk, then you want that saved for posterity's sake. So make sure you do a backup copy. All right, so I am in good health. At least my video was in good health, they say. The last one I did, it disappeared and did not. And actually, it's still, I don't know what they've done. They've changed something or something's broke, because I can't find it in my list of videos. But I got a comment on it. I got a notice, and then I clicked on that link, and there it was. I had already uploaded my backup copy. This is the last one I did on this machine. So I'll go to my video manager and see. One watching. Oh, that's me. I guess. I'm not sure if how that works. But let's see. I just uploaded a bunch from my cameras that I did, last few days. That's one I did. Let's see. That was from on the cameras, recorded on the cameras with open camera on the phones. Okay. This is the one I uploaded, and that was also the live stream. And I went ahead and renamed that live stream something different so that it wouldn't be the exact same name and wouldn't confuse me. But yeah. There's no other ones that have HP in there in that list. It is. I don't know if they've just flat changed how they're doing it, but I can't find it in my videos. Let's see. Let me do it this way. That's what I named it. I think Dawn HP. Not showing. Wait. Oh, here it is. And it's had 8 views, and this one's had 5. Of course, it counts my views when I go look at it. So, Gateway GTHP printer. What is that? I'll look at it later. Oh, it's a Move. That's probably... Nah, I was going to say that's probably... That must be something really, really old. Yeah, DSCN. That's off of an old camera. Okay, I don't know what that is. I'll look at that later. So it's in my list. Somehow it got lost. Maybe it's on a different page from that front page. But anyway, I named it Don Bishop HP Pavilion Repairs, and then this one's just HP Pavilion Testing Graphics Card, so fixing it. But I left the live stream and the date on there. I thought I'm just going to leave them both up, but this is the only one I put in my playlist. I'm going to make a playlist of these videos now that I have 2 of them. And live streaming, that should take me back to my live stream admin page, I believe. Yep. Okay, so I don't know. If it doesn't show up where I can find it next time, at least I'll know that it may be there, that I just need to like search my videos. It was there all along, I guess. Used to it would show up, at the top of your, it's listed by default as newest videos first. I'm going to close this now. And usually it shows up, always has. So, there we go. Well, the HP lives again. How about that? Don't have anything else to show now. See, I can show all different things. Cam 1 and desktop. See, I didn't think about doing that a while ago. I could have showed my remote desktop and this machine, and that'd be my handheld. But remote desktop and machine from the left, or remote desktop and the monitor. But there wasn't no need to do that. But anyway, I have all that set up. So there she goes. All right, that's a good candidate for a light, putting an older or a lightweight distro on it, or make a server out of it. That's all right. 40 gigabytes, big enough for a web server. It's not big enough for a media server at all. But if you wanted to make a media server, you could probably be a good idea to like put your operating system on something like a 40 gig hard drive. 30 gig's not really big enough because I've got another one like that and it fills up too quick. But if you just put your operating system on there, and then if you had another big drive, actually even have drives that are easy, even a USB drive that you could take in and out of there, that'd actually be pretty convenient. Because you could plug it into your main machines to copy videos to it and then plug it over into your server and just have it all set up to serve that USB drive every time it's plugged in up to your, your home network. Be pretty cool. Now that I have a 5 terabyte Seagate USB drive, I'm thinking of all the ways you could do that kind of stuff, And I do. I move it around if I need to transfer some big files from. It's actually it writes faster than through the network. So if I keep it in my main machine on the no Wi-Fi, the one I'm on right now, all the time, and so I'll just let me see. I'm supposed to be done here, but I'm on my desktop. Okay, so here we go. Here's my videos that I'm recording right now, and all that thing. Since switching around so much, it's got the video not centered right. But there's the drive. Now, what will happen? See that's the drive. Well, let me go back. That's the root of the drive. And see, here's all my backups. Now, automatically, my lucky backup will run every day about 10 minutes after I boot up, and all this stuff here will be copied. Next time I reboot, will be copied over here to this, corresponding folders. So if I go in here to the OBS Studio, those 3 files won't be over here yet. The last one is that one that I was just talking about and showing that I lost. I renamed it so that I would know. I usually don't rename these videos here, but I did before I uploaded it so I could find it quick and easy, and so it'd already be done, and it worked out pretty good. Anyway, next time I do a backup, all this stuff will be backed up, and then I can delete it off of because I only have 15.1 gigabyte left on there right now because of what I did today. I'm going to reformat this, and I've got XP and Fedora 23 on here, and I'm going to get rid of XP and then get a lot of space back because the drive is divided in half, and I'm not using not XP, Windows 7, but and I already deleted everything in my downloads folder, but a few things there today because it had gotten down and was staying around 16 gigabytes even when I deleted all the videos. So. Yeah. There we go. That's pretty cool. That thing was kind of a beast at first, and it was just, wow, everything was going wrong with it. And once I finally figured out the video card and the hard drive was bad, and luckily all the stuff Jeff gave me had some extra hard drive, 2 hard drives in those. Both of those Pentium 3s had 2 hard drives in them each. And I don't really even need a hard drive in them at all. So this one had a bad hard drive. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the other one over there in the floor. I'm not going to get to it today. If I might come back and boot up to, I really do want to see if my CD with PortMagic 6 will run in there. And just kind of look over this hardware in the apps that are in here. That's something I want to do. I may do that after I kind of take a little break here. And also it'll break up the video and it won't be one long video. I think people watch about a little, they maybe watch a little while and then skip through for a while, but I don't think they're going to skip all the way to the end of a 3-4 hour video or 2 hour video. I'll watch a whole hour video pretty often, actually, if it's interesting. But after that, I may skip through it, but that's about it. Anyway, okay, so HP 7966 Pavilion is alive again. That's cool. All right, it's done, and be gone for now. All right, bye-bye.